Welcome or welcome back. Today I have an oracle card reading for the month of March to help us align with our highest self. I'm using Healing with the Fairies by Doreen Virtue, and how this is going to work is I'm going to pull a couple cards. You're going to have a chance to pause the video and choose the card that connects with you the most, and I'm going to leave the timestamp in the description so that you could just go directly to the card that resonates with you. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see more content like this. Before we begin, I do just want to mention that I picked the healing cards specifically because of the year anniversary that is going to be in March. You know, last March, this is when COVID hit the fan, and I think some of us had a really hard time this year, and I think we're still trying to process what happened. And for me, last March feels like a fever dream. I mean, I feel like a lot of the terror of the situation has died down, and now we aren't as frightened, which is good on one hand, but maybe not helping the situation on the other. But I don't want to get too political. But I just want you to know, like, I picked these with the intention of helping us heal and grow. First, I'm just going to cleanse the space with a lavender smudge bundle that I rolled myself. It's in my Etsy store if you're interested. And this is just a eco-friendly and indigenous-friendly alternative to sage. So I'm just holding light, love, joy, happiness in my heart as I let the smoke fill the area. And we're gonna get into it. So remember, the intentions of this session is to discover or gain more clarity on what's gonna bring us to our highest and best good in March, maybe even closer to our life purpose and path. And again, I'm going to pull 3 cards, give you a second to decide which one you want, and then go into the reading of each. I promise I've been doing this for a lot longer than my shuffling leads on. Take a second to decide. Just go with whatever one resonates with you most. Okay, so if you pick card 1, I'm right there with you. This resonated with me out of the 3. And we have the Making New Friends card, which has to do with your changing of interest, your shifting, your priorities have changed. Your thoughts are attracting like-minded people, which we know if you know anything about energy. If you don't, that's fine. I'm telling you now. You're learning to come out of your shell a little bit more, and I feel like in the past you may have been uncomfortable with doing so. You have been a little rigid with who you wanted in your circle and who you've been letting yourself be vulnerable with. I understand that. I relate with that personally, but this is your opportunity to evolve a little bit. You may have had people in your circle that you've related to for a long time, and you may have even known them for a couple years, but you know, people change and people grow, and that doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice them as friends, but you do want to surround yourself with more like-minded people in order to fulfill yourself a little bit more. And with that note, if you find that it's hard for you to make new friends right now, you have to remember that your relationships aren't here to fulfill you. You are fulfilled, and therefore you have fulfilling relationships. You can't depend on other people to fill your cup. That's your responsibility. So what you're going to take away from this card is that you're changing and you want different things in life, and perhaps you even found the courage to go after what you want. So you need to make sure that you stay on that path and not worry about what you've had in mind in the past, who you've been surrounded with in the past, because they might not come along with you in the way that you expect. And that's okay, because we're here to change and we're here to evolve and we're here to grow, and it's time to spread our wings like the butterflies in this picture and be willing and ready to welcome in a new, fresh era for ourselves. The affirmation for this card is, I'm grateful for my wonderfully supportive and loving friends. I would also like to note that this card landed in front of the amethyst stone that I have here, which usually is connected with intuition, empowerment, femininity, and just faith and connection with the source. So I hope that served you. I'd love to hear your opinions and your suggestions and whatever else you might want to talk about in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, if you resonated with card number 2, this one's for you. The self-reliance card. This is interesting because this stone is actually from the airport Mesa vortex in Sedona. I suggest looking it up, but it has to do with masculine energy, feeling grounded, being connected to yourself, the earth, understanding that everything you need is provided for you, which is also what aligns with this card. So the self-reliance card has to do with sometimes feeling you need validation from other people in order to validate what you want to do, what you think, and how you feel. And while it's totally natural to want to fit in with other people, to have other people's approval, you need to understand that everything you need, want, and desire comes from within you. And the only way that you're going to get that is when you have faith and confidence in yourself. Now, that being said, do not beat yourself up because you're not at the peak of confidence 24/7. We are human beings, and that part of us fluctuate. And some of us, it's an uphill battle understanding like how to love ourselves and be confident in what we want to do, even when we have no experience or no idea what we want to do and how we want to do it. But what I'm getting is that you need to focus on having faith in yourself for the next month of March. The things that are coming to you in the future are going to rely on you having faith in what you're doing and what you want to do, even if you just have to figure it out and fail a couple times along the way. You use other people's approval as a way of self-preservation and protecting yourself from being outcasted or hurt. And, it's a form of vulnerability to want somebody else's approval, and vulnerability is a beautiful, magical, and powerful thing, especially if you're in the arts. But you need to understand that you could be vulnerable, but not really care what somebody else has to say about you or what you're doing. Because when it comes down to it, this is your life. This is the only one you got. So if there's something that you want to go after, you can't waste time waiting for somebody else to give you the okay, or waste time to feel like you're 100% and perfectly ready. Wow, this is starting to resonate with me too. So what you want to, like I said, focus on the month of March is ways to make yourself feel more confident and grounded in what you want. Because remember, we live in a magical, creative, beautiful, incredibly intelligent universe. So if there's something that you need in order for you to get it done, or to get whatever you want done, or to get to the next step, know that it will come to you when you're ready. But the only time you're going to be ready is if you have confidence in yourself. And when you have confidence in yourself, other people will have confidence in you. It's a mirror. Everything around us is just reflecting our inner world. And, it's important to remember that, we are the God in this situation. We create our life. I hope that resonated. Leave a comment in the comments below if you have anything you'd like to add, anything you'd like to share, and don't forget to like and subscribe for my content and more content like this. Okay, so if you resonated with card number 3, welcome. This one's for you. Ooh, the sexuality card. Interesting, because this is a piece of coral that was given to me from the Caribbean, and I think water has a lot to do with femininity, flow, vulnerability, but also transformation, because coral is created from the remains of deceased fish, which is really grim, but also beautiful, because when it's in the sea, this was dead when it was plucked. Coral is vibrant, and, sexuality brings quite a bit of vibrance into life. It creates life itself. So it's important to have a very healthy relationship with your sexuality. And that can mean whatever you want it to mean. There is no right meaning to having a healthy relationship with your sexuality besides what you decide it is. It doesn't only have to do with our physical self either. It has to do with an emotional connection, and it has to do with a spiritual connection as well, because, religion in a lot of different cases dictates how people feel about their sexuality. And I'm not going to go into that, but you have to reflect on that, especially in this month of March. Remember that we're pulling cards that are going to help us grow and heal in this next month. And if you resonated with this card, Spirit's trying to say, there's something tied into your sexuality, whether it's shame, whether it's excess, whether it's unbalance, whether it's poor boundaries. You need to look at something here. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. I know there's women on Instagram and men who do a great job of showing you the spiritual and sexual side of life in not a salacious or profane way, but in just this beautiful understanding that sexuality is what brings us to life. That's where our creative power is. You can be spiritual and also have vibrant, uninhibited sexuality. and it not be an issue. They don't have to contradict. There's something about being open, but being strong and being willing to guard yourself, but still being able to explore. I keep hearing boundaries. There's something about having clear, strong boundaries with yourself that you then transform and set with other people that helps bring out the best in you and taps you into your creative and sexual power. There's a little bit of healing that should be done here too. Perhaps you have a negative body image toward yourself, or maybe you're dealing with some shame around previous acts that you've done as far as like sexually and relationship goes that you should work through. Not necessarily go back and break apart, but maybe just reflect on what you've learned, how you grow, and maybe how you're not going to do it again, or how you understand where you went wrong the first time and now you know where to go right this time. And there's something about blossoming here too, like understanding that once you harness this and once you understand this, you're going to understand a part of yourself, a more dynamic part of yourself, a little bit more. I mean, of course this is going to be healing, but it's going to be transformational in the way that you do it, and the way that you understand and create a situation for yourself where you can blossom. I feel like that was a lot of rambling, but it also felt like there was a lot coming through there. The affirmation that comes with this card is, my sexual self is attractive, healthy, and able to experience great pleasure. I'm gonna actually link some Instagram creators that I like that go into this topic a little bit more than I could, because they just have a totally deep and divine understanding that I'm not quite at yet, but eventually we'll get there. But there's also something, I'm sure I sort of alluded to it with what I said before. Your sexual energy is directly related to your creative energy. When there's stuff blocked sexually, whether your sacral is in excess or in deficiency, so whether like looking for that satisfaction to fill a deeper void, or if you avoid it altogether because you feel unworthy or you feel shame or whatever, moving that and balancing those things, you get a lot more creative as far as manifestations go. Like they flow a little bit easier. Money usually comes a lot better if that's something that you're interested in. Opportunity comes a lot more. And if you're an artist, this is helpful to have, because it's going to help reinvigorate your inspiration, and it's also going to help your productivity because your energy is going to be more balanced. Like you're going to be able to have less hours of sleep and more waking hours without feeling tired or drained. That was a lot. Whew. Thank you for watching. I hope something resonated. I hope you got more clarity, and feel free to comment down below how the cards ended up playing out for you. And don't forget to like and subscribe to see more of my content and more content like this.